Hello everyone and welcome to our virtual town hall meeting. We're excited to be here with you all today as we discuss our return to school remote learning plan. We're excited about this plan because it highlights some important information with regard to how we're going to start our school year off. In this plan, you'll know about the different instructional delivery plans that we have. You'll learn about modes of learning and they will be defined. We'll also talk about instructional material, daily attendance, devices and connectivity, meals, and the health clinic. This is important information for us because this is a new frontier. We've never started a school year off this way. And we learned a lot from going remote in the spring that's going to help us be very successful in the fall. But the aims and objectives of this town hall meeting was to open the channels of communication up with our community to ensure that our parents and our students and our staff knew what to expect as we get into this new school year. Today we're excited to share this information with you all because it's a body of work that we're very proud of, and we're excited about the opportunity to showcase our skill sets remotely. As you know, McAllen ISD has a long legacy of success, and we want to continue that, but it's going to take everybody working as a team to make sure that that happens. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our partners, all the people that help us throughout the community. A special thank you to the City of McAllen, Mayor Jim Darling. A special thank you to the County of Hidalgo and Judge Richard Cortez. Great partners from throughout our community helped this district flourish, so thank you. I also wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate our school board for being selected as Region 1 School Board of the Year, and also to thank our school board for their guidance and their oversight as we approach this new challenge in our history as a district. I do want to emphasize that we're excited and we're definitely ready for the fall. It's gonna take teamwork, and that's what today's about. This town hall meeting is about coming together to share some important information with you all. So I'm excited, and I hope that you learn a lot today. You'll have an opportunity to ask questions about the plan, and we will do our very best to get the answers out to the community as fast as possible. I do want to emphasize that this plan is about our remote learning. This is what we're talking about right now, how we're going to start the school year off. We're not talking about, in this particular town hall meeting, about if and when we come back to school. Down the road, as we get closer to bringing students back into the building and going from stage 3 that we're currently in right now that has everybody working remotely, with the exception of some essential employees, when we move from stage 3 to 2, then we can come back and have another town hall meeting so that we can talk about the challenges and how we're going to work through that and getting kids back into the building. But I did want to emphasize that today's town hall meeting is about our remote learning plan and how we're going to work together to make this a success. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the town hall meeting and the great presentation that you're about to hear. So at this point, I will turn it over to Dr. Ibarra, our Assistant Superintendent for Instructional Services. Dr. Ibarra, take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Gonzalez. This afternoon, we will share an overview of our remote learning plan for the 2021 school year. And I would like to begin by sharing with our parents and community a brief explanation of how remote instruction that students will receive this fall will be different from the remote instruction that students received in the spring of 2020. Remote instruction delivered in the spring of 2020 has been described by Commissioner Morath as crisis response remote instruction, and the instruction that students will receive in the fall as accountability-driven remote instruction. In the spring, school districts implemented remote instruction unexpectedly with limited resources for remote instruction, limited guidance from the state. So consequently, the state relaxed or waived many of the state mandates that are traditionally required of all school districts. The state asked districts to make every effort to provide instructional support to students with the resources they had. So students continued to receive instructional support in the form of reviews or previously taught concepts and skills, but not necessarily the required curriculum of on-grade level standards. In terms of attendance, the state waived the requirements for districts to post daily attendance since many school districts did not have the mechanisms to confirm attendance on a daily basis. Also, the state assessments that measure student learning for the year were also waived, again, because the state could not test students on material that had not been taught. The grading requirements were also waived because districts could not ensure that testing could be done with fidelity and integrity in a remote setting at that particular time. Therefore, districts were allowed to give pass-fail for work completed by students. Moving forward into the fall, we will now be following an accountability-driven remote instruction. This means that all mandates required by TEA will be in place. The state has now provided the guidance and resources to districts to ensure that we implement an accountability-driven remote instruction. For instruction, for example, districts are required to provide all students with instruction of on-grade level standards that are equivalent to what would be learned in the classroom in a face-to-face setting. Based on the survey that we received on Thought Exchange from parents, we know that some of you may have concerns with the amount of time that students are expected to spend learning remotely. Because of the teaching and learning expectations that have been set by the Texas Education Agency, the teachers will teach the required grade level standards and will adhere to the scope and sequence and timeline necessary to teach grade level standards. That is why it is necessary that we have instructional schedules that align to a regular school day as much as possible to allow teachers the time needed to teach the required curriculum and students the time needed to learn the required curriculum. Furthermore, districts will need to post attendance on a daily basis for each class period. Students must connect and engage in each course for them to be counted present for that day. The state assessments will also be administered in the spring of 2021 to assess whether or not students learn the required taught curriculum that is mandated by the state. And the grading guidelines will be followed, which means that students will receive actual grades for assignments, quizzes, and tests like we did prior to COVID-19, So at this time, I want to again reassure our parents that remote instruction will be taught with fidelity, there'll be rigor, and there will be accountability as the state expects us to do so. We're very excited moving forward with this new mode of learning. And at this time, I'd like to go to the next section, which is the modes of learning defined. Now, students will be engaged in remote distance learning in one of two ways. We call these two systems remote synchronous instruction and remote asynchronous instruction. So remote synchronous instruction means that students will be live in real time with the presence of a teacher. This will allow students to collaborate and dialogue with their teacher during the actual instruction. Synchronous lessons will be delivered on a set daily student schedule that students will follow. It will be delivered by highly qualified certified teachers. Again, attendance will be required and the grades will depend on that attendance. And of course, teachers are receiving all the learning and professional development, the tools and resources that they will need to deliver this high quality synchronous instruction. The second method of instructional delivery that will be followed during remote instruction is called asynchronous instruction. This type of instruction is not in real time. Some examples include pre-recorded lessons and tasks that the teacher will assign and that must be completed. Teachers are also highly qualified. It will be delivered by the same teacher of record that students are assigned. We will also have daily attendance taken during asynchronous instruction, but the attendance will come from the completion of the assignments that the teacher has assigned. So what does a lesson look like during remote distance learning? Well, it looks very, very similar to what a regular instruction looks like in a face-to-face setting. So here I'd like to briefly review the lesson cycle that our teachers will follow. A lesson cycle will typically last between 50 minutes to an hour. In an asynchronous setting, again, all students will be able to connect with the teacher in real time. During the scheduled time, they will do this through either Google Meets or Microsoft Teams. And the reason that this is so important is because we need our students and our teachers to develop those relationships and be able to collaborate and to communicate to ensure that learning is taking place in the same way that that would occur in a regular classroom setting if we were face to face. And this, of course, will be done using various methods of instruction and applications that teachers are very well versed with. So here's an example of the lesson cycle. This particular lesson cycle, if you notice here on the left-hand side, it has the breakdowns. The first 5 minutes of the class, the students will be expected to prepare for the class by doing some kind of icebreaker, opening activities, or opening activity. At this time, they'll know what they're going to be learning for the day, and during this time, the teacher will be taking attendance. The next part of the lesson consists of a direct teach, and this is probably the most important part of the lesson. This is where the teacher will actually deliver the instruction, explain the concept, model a skill or a concept. So again, this is very, very important, and it is where most of the student learning will occur. After that direct teach, then the students will engage in independent work. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes. And the reason that this is very important is this is when the students are applying what the teacher has taught, and they will have an opportunity to apply their skills to make sure that they are learning that particular skill that's being taught. If the student is struggling, this is a good time for the teacher to reinforce, to clarify, to provide additional support. So being engaged with that teacher during those 50 minutes synchronous learning segment is so important. And then finally, the teacher will close the lesson by reinforcing what was taught and perhaps give additional instructions for the next day, which will probably be taught in a asynchronous setting. So then we move to a lesson cycle for asynchronous remote learning. This is a little bit different because this is not in real time. Again, teachers will not be connected with the student. So the teacher will simply leave an assignment for the student to follow during asynchronous remote learning. Again, this is different because the student is doing work in a self-paced environment, self-paced instruction. It'll also be done during the scheduled period for that day through either Google Meets or Canvas or Seesaw, or it could be another platform that the teacher will advise the students on. And again, this is important to continue with that continuity. So on days that the students meet with the teacher synchronously or real time, that's when they receive their face-to-face instruction, direct instruction. And during asynchronous, this is more to support and continue to reinforce those skills that were learned during synchronous instruction. This lesson cycle is also not as lengthy. So students may spend between 15 minutes to 40 minutes in an asynchronous lesson because they will be, again, looking at the instructions provided by the teacher. Then they will follow the instructions or the lesson that the teacher left for that day, and that they will engage in independent work. This is very important that students engage in this type of work and submit their assignments, because this is how the teacher will progress monitor if the students are learning and adjust the instruction the following day that they meet face-to-face in real time. So again, very important. Both types of learning are extremely important. The next schedule, I'm not going to review. Basically, this is the same schedule as synchronous learning. However, this is for an extended period of time. And all it is the cycle is repeated when we have extended time. Next, I'm going to review the sample elementary remote learning schedules. So here are two examples. The top example does not have the actual time slots. It only breaks it down by minutes. So students should expect, at the elementary level, should expect to engage in real time with their teachers for math and reading on a daily basis for about 90 minutes. Now, the reason that we have those expectations at the elementary level is because reading and math are foundational at the elementary level. These are very important subjects, they're foundational, and that foundation is needed for students to be successful at the middle school and high school. So we place a great deal of emphasis in reading and math at the elementary level. Then you also have the rest of the subjects there for your review. These subjects will be taught some days synchronous or real time, and other days asynchronous, or again, not real time through pre-recorded lessons, or perhaps through an assignment that the teacher has left. The bottom sample schedule is very similar. The only difference is that it has specific times to give parents and students an idea of what the day would look like. So the day will begin at 8 and approximately it will end at 3:30. Now that does not mean that the student necessarily has to be connected the entire time with the teacher. Again, it depends whether they are in real time, synchronous, or asynchronous. So during the synchronous times, the students will be working on their own. So they'll have more flexibility to move around, to take breaks. And if they need to, for some reason, connect at a later time during the day, they certainly can. We move on to the sample secondary remote learning schedules. And again, this is very similar to the elementary, but I would like to point out that as a district, we have made the following decisions. For secondary students, that's 6th through 12th grade, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, all the core classes will be taught face-to-face in real time. And that means our core courses include math, English, science, and social studies. So again, all the core courses, students should expect to connect with their teacher in real time on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Non-core or elective classes will be taught in real time on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So you can see from the schedule that students will see a teacher, one of their teachers, or 4 of their teachers every day, but not all 8 every day in real time. The bottom sample simply has, this is a sample student schedule for a 9th grader. And again, it differs from day to day. So on Monday, for example, the student has synchronous or real-time learning in biology, English 1, world geography, and algebra. On Tuesday, the student has real-time learning in art, PE, transition, and Spanish. And so again, this is a sample schedule. It will look different for every student depending on the assignments and where the periods fall in the day. So the next slide speaks to student distance learning daily expectations. Very important that we want to impress upon you that remote learning is very, very similar to learning that takes place on a daily basis if we were in the school setting. It's no different really. So students are expected to follow the daily schedule by class period. They're expected to log into classes on time during their assigned class period for synchronous or real-time instruction. They're expected to complete daily asynchronous assignments and activities. Those are the activities that they must complete when the teacher is not with them, providing that direct teach. And this is important because this will ensure that the students are not getting behind, and this will again allow the teacher to assess the learning that's taking place. And also very important is students and parents can reach out to the teachers if they're struggling with any assignments, if they need clarification. Every teacher will post office hours, and every teacher will be available to respond to questions from students or from parents, especially when there are assignments that need to be made up because the student was absent for one reason or another. The next section that I would like to discuss is our special education section. We know that we have received many questions about special education services, and we do want to reassure our community that we are providing the necessary services for our special education students. Here on this visual, you have an overview of the different services that the special education department will be providing, either in a virtual setting or in a face-to-face setting. We do want to encourage our parents to reach out to either the special education department or to their campus with any questions that they may have specifically regarding to their child and the specific services that they have questions about. And at this time, I would like to turn it over to Ms. V, and she will continue with the presentation.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Ibarra. And continuing with the talk for parents is something that's really important for everyone, and it is to understand what instructional materials are required for your students, whether they're in pre-K or they're a senior in high school. What instructional materials are being provided before the first day of school, August 24th. And so if I could proceed with the slide, we have some good information here for you. So we have textbooks and books, anything that we're using for instructions, they are available digitally. So this is giving you a visual of how your students can access the books that we're requiring for the classwork that they're doing for 2021 remote instruction. This is a visual of what that looks like. There's also hardcover books and packets where there is a schedule that I'll be showing you, and you've already received from principals, but there are certain books that we want, textbooks, reading books, especially at the elementary level, that we want, the teachers want, the principals want the students to have. And so there are some books that will be given by the campuses and their schedules, letting you know when that's going to happen. There's also some additional sheets that are provided for you, and that'll also be given to you at the campus. On regarding devices, there's a schedule that went out to you, and we'll be showing it to you. But devices is a mandatory tool. And really, what is a device? A device for elementary students is an iPad, and it's issued by us with the school. The device for middle school is a Chromebook, and that's also, if they don't already have it, they'll be reissued that, and we'll have a schedule for that. And in high school, the same. All new students to the district will be receiving their devices at their cover. And if you could go ahead and go, yes. Hotspots are a commitment from McAllen ISD. So there is an analysis, a group, a team that study the need that the city of McAllen needs, and for your home to be able to have the iPad or the Chromebook work. Some of you have 2 or 3 children at home, all in different classrooms. So that will be, Wi-Fi hotspots will be provided for the families needing more access, more internet than their home has. And for the specifics on this, you can refer to your campus website, your campus principal, and they'll help you with that. This is another visual on instructional materials. It's kind of a one visual reaches all. And so it's pre-K all the way to high school. And it tells us for every subject, if you, the parent, and the student are receiving the instructional materials electronically, if you're also receiving them in a workbook, hard copy, and if you're also receiving additional packets. So this is another list that you can know what to expect for your son or daughter in whichever grade level they're in. In elementary, it really gets specific. And so there is a visual for every subject. For example, this is the instructional materials that will be given to the students and parents by the campus starting next week. And there's a schedule that's telling you exactly when they're doing it. But if you had a kindergarten child, that child would have access to a textbook electronically, digitally. That textbook would also be in a consumable, so that they so it'll be a hard packet that you're given when you go by the school to pick it up. And there's also additional district digital resources that the teacher's going to have for your student. And so this is for math. We have another one for science. Again, it'll tell you all of the materials, in what grade they're in, and if you're going to have that in a textbook electronic version, in a textbook, workbook, hard copy version, and all of the different resources that we have. And so that gives you information on that. We have another one very specific for the students that are engaged in reading and writing subjects, and that's so big. That's what we do in elementary. We learn to read, and then we read to learn for the rest of our lives. And so this is again a chart showing us the resources and grade specific what you, the parent, can expect for your child's needs and instructional materials for reading and writing. And our last one would be in the subject of social studies. And there is a textbook, and it is also electronic. And so, and I have another slide, and this is what I've been referring to. Yes, this slide. This is the elementary distribution schedule, return to school. So you could see that if you have a third grader to fifth grader, Friday, August 14th is a big day. This schedule doesn't tell you the time. However, as of yesterday, campuses released this specific schedule and the times for all parents. They use different modes to talk to you. It's posted on their campus website. It was sent through email. It's sent through Remind 101. It's sent through Skyward. So they have multiple modes of sending this, but this schedule has already been sent to all parents from the principal, from the elementary school that you attend. And this is the schedule and things that they are bringing up. If you can notice on this slide, in the blue at the bottom, it says, please visit your campus website for particular information on particular information, like say for school supplies, back to school procedures. You're very much interested of when your students, to see your students' schedule, like what is their schedule, what teacher did they get, what time do they do reading, what time do they do math, and all of that. This shows you on August 20th there will be a virtual meet the teacher night, and on that night is when they will be issuing, that teacher will be issuing you, the parent, the daily schedule for your son or daughter, school supplies, all of that. So the campus website, and looking at your emails and the way that the campus speaks to you, a lot of information has moved out over the weekend to you, the parents. We also have a schedule like this for middle school, and same thing. They have a very specific time. Could you go back to middle school, please? Yeah, there you go. So on middle school, it's a very specific time. It's showing all the information that you need as a parent. And so you'll set your schedule, hopefully, to where you could show up at the campus for a curbside drive by, not going into the school. They want to keep everything safe, socially distancing, but they do have things that they have to get distributed to you, the parents. High school, the next one, the high school, it has a very specific schedule also that moved out to you. Things that have already started happening since Monday, August 3rd. And there will be very, very detailed information. This moved out again from your high school principal, and it moved out either through it's posted on their campus website, but it's also been moved out through emails, Remind, Twitter, their Facebooks, all the different social media platforms that they have. And that's also. And on daily attendance, we daily attendance, Dr. Ibata alluded to it, but daily attendance is going to be, it was important last year. It's going to continue to be important this year. There is a rule that the students need to be in attendance 90% of the time. So you would say in the fall, you would never want the student absent from class more than 8 times, 9 times. And the same for the spring. Of course, there's always reasons, excused absences that you can work out with the campus teacher, the campus principal, but attendance is something required with TEA. Again, this is an accountability driven academic year where the seriousness is there, that the reading, math, science, social studies, everything needs to be taught to the kids. So attendance will be taken in each of the periods where the student is live with the teacher. And again, here, Dr. Ibata had a slide, but when when you receive your schedules for your kids, it's going to tell you on Monday if they've got a time with the teacher that is live, and so that's the synchronous class. And it's also going to tell you a time that they're with the teacher, but it's things posted in the asynchronous class. If you're in elementary, that attendance that's vital to count for attendance is going to be taken at 9:45 by the teacher that your student is live with. However, if there's a reason that your student and you have to be absent, that your son and daughter have to be absent from the class, you're at a doctor's appointment, or your child is sick, then it's the same manner that you normally do in communicating with the school. If possible, we would very much encourage you to know that the attendance will still be counted if you're able to later in the day after that doctor's appointment or the reason you were absent, tap into the site of the teacher and do the work that she has posted. And then our technology team knows how to capture that work that you did, and it can count for attendance even though you missed the live time with the teacher. On devices and connectivity, it's just vital to be able to have that device that works and have that internet, the Wi-Fi that's working at home. So this is very particular information that will be given. I'm going to go ahead and pass this to Miss Areli Benavides, who will be giving very specific information for us on the student device agreement. Ms. Benavides?
Yes, thank you, Ms. V. You're absolutely right. In order to support remote learning with excellence, it's critical that our students have a device and internet connectivity. And since 2011, McAllen ISD has provided devices to our students, and this will continue through this remote learning period. In addition to their computing device, like you mentioned, families that need internet connectivity will be provided with hotspots as needed. Now, this document, the student device agreement, is an important document that is issued every year. If you have already completed registration in Skyward for the 2021 school year, you've already acknowledged the student device agreement and no further action is needed. Now, the document is important because it also speaks to other items like student responsibilities, parent responsibilities, and digital citizenship involved with using a device. Our digital learning team will be providing digital citizenship learning opportunities for our students and parents that speak to the responsible online behavior that we would like to instill in our students. This will be happening throughout the school year. Now, in order to have successful remote learning, we need to be able to provide our students with technology support. And what we are going to be doing is we're going to be creating some unique phone numbers for each school that you can call to connect with technology support at your campus. Now, technology support can range anywhere between the device not functioning to a damaged device, internet connectivity, or the inability to log into Skyward or any other learning applications. We'll also be providing tech support after the school day. You can use this tech support number, and we want to make sure that those calls will continue to be answered even after the school day when you call that number. During remote learning, our meal program will also continue to serve free, nutritious meals to our McAllen ISD students. We will need your help in this effort. We need participation from our families to continue the operation of this very important meals program. We're working to make it as easy as possible for our families to access meals through a combination of curbside at your schools and bus stops. So even if your student does not ride the bus, it is likely that there will be a bus stop near your home. That's how we're designing this program so that we can make it as easy as possible to access. So that we hope that between curbside and the bus stops, there will be a meal site near you. Please help us keep this program successful with your participation. Now, what will our school health clinics look like during this remote learning environment? Well, your school nurse will be available to answer questions and provide support. We will be providing direct phone numbers as well for the clinics so that you're only a phone call away from any questions that you will have from our nursing staff. We want to thank our parents, our students, our teachers, our staff, and the McAllen ISD community at large for your patience, your support, and most importantly, your resilience during these very uncertain times. We are working hard to provide an excellent learning experience for our students, and we know that our parents are right there with us. So we will continue to work tirelessly to make sure that you are proud of us through this process. Thank you very much.
As we close today's town hall meeting, I wanted to thank you all very much for joining us today. I hope that the information was beneficial to each and every one of you. Please remember that if you have any questions, leave them in the comments section, and we'll work hard as a district to answer those questions in a timely fashion. We want to make sure that we keep our community informed as we move closer to the beginning of the school year. But most importantly, we want everybody to understand what the game plan is and be confident that McAllen ISD is going to continue educating your children at the highest level. We're going to do the best that we can to provide your children with an education that's well-rounded and prepares them for the future. So to all the parents out there that make McAllen ISD your district of choice, thank you so very much. We appreciate your continued support. Have a wonderful day.